Sup guys? So today in web design, we're going to be building off of what we did last time, which was taking two-column layouts from Fireworks into CSS. Today we're going to go back into Fireworks and we're going to make a more complex looking site. So if you would, take a look through the requirements that we have for today. You can see under the agenda that we're going to open up our previous mockup and we're going to save it as mockup2.png. Inside of the header, we're going to go and add some more to it. So we'll take the name of the site and we'll add a background image. You know, if you want to find something off Flickr or some other place that has Creative Commons or design it yourself. And then to the sidebar, you'll put in a navigation and then a feature or an ad banner, something like a 100 by 200 pixel wide image that would go inside that would link to somewhere else on your site. Kevin Romero, no eating back here. That's on YouTube. So then main content, put in a header for the content. That would be what would be H1 eventually in our code, and some intro text that you write. Then put what would be an H2, just because we want to pick ahead of time in Fireworks what size and what colors we're going to use. And then you could put dummy text after that. So if you want to just put whatever filler that will eventually become paragraph tags after that. Copyright info in the footer, contact info, and then this is your chance to start putting your own logo and name or company name that you would have for your company when you would put in the footer saying, this is who designed it, and then that would link to your site. So we're going to be in Fireworks all today, and then tomorrow we'll go back into CSS and take our better looking layout and look at everything we need to do with margins and paddings and adjusting widths and heights and things to make it look how we did today. So let's go ahead into Fireworks and open up your mockup from yesterday. So we're inside of our PNG to HTML image. And here's the sweet magic I'm working with. The first thing it said was to add the name of the site and a background image to the header. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to jump over to Flickr, find an image real quick, and I'll show you how to get that image to exactly this size inside Fireworks. So I'm just going to hop over real quick, and I'll go grab an image from Flickr, Creative Commons search. Uh-oh. All right, let's see what we got from the home page here. All right. I think that I'm going with this one. Let's see, we got some rights reserved, so we have to give rights back. So I'll go ahead and make sure that I do that. And I'm going to need I can see that I've got 500 pixel wide, 640 wide. I know that my header is 960 by 200 wide. So, I'm sorry, 960 wide by 200 tall. So I'm going to see what size this large image is. And I can see when I click on it up top here that it says it's 1024, which is going to be wide enough. So I'm just going to right click and copy this. And when we go back and we do our HTML, we can go back and add a link to this actual thing in our behind the scenes in our code. So I put it in here, and notice that it's going to be really big. The quickest way to resize this is to hit Q and scroll it around until you find the edges of it. When you hit Q in Photoshop, that gives you the shortcut to transform something and get it to be the exact proportions that you want. Now notice that if I drag from the corner, it will lock the proportions in because I don't want to distort my image as I'm resizing it, as y'all know. So go ahead and get that resized to just the size you want it. And I can see down here at the bottom, I really want 960. Will it update the proportions for me? Not really. It's not too bad. All right. So now I have this image. I'm going to rename it to be header image. And I'm going to put it above the header so that it's covering this space here. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is select an area that is 200 that's 960 by 200 tall, and it's a little bit different in Fireworks than it is in Photoshop But we could see if this is what I'm going to use as mine, that sort of space right there. You could see how it'll crop it a little bit. I'm going to come and select the marquee tool. The marquee tool is the shortcut M, and I want to make sure that I have the square marquee tool selected. I'm going to select my image, and I'm going to highlight that space that I want to show. Once I have it highlighted, I can come under, I believe, up. Use the shortcuts. Sorry, right click. New bitmap from copy. So what this will do is it will take the selection, as long as you have the layer selected that you want to go back over and make sure that you have selected. And if I right click on it, lost my marquee there, right click on it, and I say new bitmap from copy, it will copy just that one part of the layer below it. So now I have two layers. I have a header copy that's resized, and I have one underneath it that's full size. So if I hide the full size layer, I'm left with just a background image like that. And if you want, you can go back in the video and rewatch that technique for how to do that once you find your image. But from there, I'm going to start putting some text here. Maybe get it the color a bit different. Make it quite a bit bigger. Maybe that's a little too big. So I could come back and make this work a bit better for me later on, but for now, get the text. So on yours, did we say what the names of these, name of the site? So now I have the first part of the header done. The next thing is going to be to add the navigation to the side, and I'm going to do a simple navigation for now, and I'll just go ahead and put in some straight text there. Change the size and the color of it. Home, about, services, contact. And then I could play with the font a little bit to stretch it out or create more spacing between the lines. Which I'm going to do, not that way. Spread them out a little bit. And then maybe I could begin changing some of my colors, like the background color. I'll pick a color from the actual site. That's not going to work. There we go. Get a darker color from here. Maybe repick again for this. So now I feel like I have something pretty good there. The next steps would be to go and start putting in the ad banner and the main content part too. So let's go ahead and just sort of work at our own pace for a second. I'll pause the video and we'll knock out that center part and then turn it back on. All right, so here we have a completed basic design. And what you could see is by adding a few very specific elements to the page, those taken from the agenda here, we could see that we've got quite a nicer looking site. We've also changed some of the colors to go along with the image that we selected. And because I selected an image that looked sort of like a Zen monastery, I went with that theme for the site and what I did here. And what we could see is that we've got a background image for the header. We've got the name of the site, M.Builders, Monk Builders, Monk Web Design, something like that is what I was thinking. Thinking yogis, you know. Home About Services, the navigation. A shout out, and what this would do is go to a page where you could hire them to build a site for you. A welcome home, you know, main header one. The intro message that I said you had to write, peaceful yogis maintain this quaint little web shop and build sites and make the world a better place. You know, you'd want to go work for them, wouldn't you? And then I've got my more info, and then this is where I inserted it in lorem ipsum because we're just going to use placeholder text. And it looks like I have a little bit of room to the right here, so notice that I'm taking advantage of margins and paddings, and I'm not putting the text all the way up against the corner. So today, this is as far as you have to get, you know, put the copyright and M.Builders project in the bottom, you know, something like that. And that's what we'll do. Tomorrow, we'll look at how do we take this then and transfer into HTML and CSS. So we will stop here for the day, and then for those of you who want to come do yoga up front, it won't be on YouTube, but we'll pick that up next.